Anybody know? Ganavim? I don't think I was going to steal our Chanukkah. Maybe if you put the nice silver ones out there.
It's not our house.
It's not our house. That's a nice Noam shot. All right. Very pleasant shot. Yeah.
We used to be afraid of people.
We used to be afraid of people. All right. Say better.
People were persecuting us, so the rabbis instituted a law to light inside rather than out, and then we kept on doing it.
Right. Shkach. The mitzvah of Chanukkah doesn't push off our mitzvah to live. We have a mitzvah to live. It says v'chai b'hem in the Torah. You're supposed to live and keep the mitzvot. Doesn't mean that you're supposed to light a Chanukkah outside. Some guy's going to see, oh look, this guy's Jewish, so come kill me. And they'll come and Chalila, they'll wipe out an entire Jewish family. I'll tell you, I have a friend, very good friend of mine, who's the chief rabbi of Macedonia. If you don't know where Macedonia is, I didn't either until I met him. Macedonia is this tiny country on top of Greece. And in Macedonia, they were going to inaugurate him as the chief rabbi, and the whole yeshiva was planning on going, not just yeshiva where I was learning. I didn't end up going. But we decided to do some research. I mean, you're going to a country you've never been to before. Is there anti-Semitism in Macedonia? So we looked on Wikipedia. On Wikipedia, which is the great source of all information, Wikipedia told us that, no, there's no anti-Semitism. No reported anti-Semitism in Macedonia. Not since the Holocaust. It was very interesting. So we get there. And one of the rabbis insisted he's going to wear his kippah, and he's going to wear tzitzis out, and he's going to walk down the street, and he's going to be Jewish, he's going to be proud. And the chief rabbi, our friend, Rabbi Kozma, said, listen, don't do it. I don't know. We don't really walk around with kippahs here. Nobody's used to this. And he's like, no, it says no anti-Semitism. I've got nothing to worry about. They woke up the next morning, and the whole house, from bottom to top, was covered with swastikas. So the reason why there was no anti-Semitism in Macedonia was because there's no Jews in Macedonia. So there's no problem with anti-Semitism in Macedonia. But halacha says that if you light a menorah outside of your front door in Chutz La'aretz, it's not your house, you're inviting trouble. You're inviting someone to come in and say, listen, we don't like you guys. Let's kill you. In Israel, for the first time in 2,000 years, and I think for maybe some of you, it's the first time in your family since Bayit Sheni, since the second Beit HaMikdash, that you're the first Jews that came to Jerusalem and are lighting Chanukiot, or we're going to walk the streets of Jerusalem where people are lighting Chanukiot. Outside of their house, we're not afraid. We're back home. And when I was sitting in San Diego, I was really worried. Where am I going to light my Chanukiah? And I could just say thank you to Hashem in front of everybody here. Hodul Adonai Kitov Kilam Chasdo. I thank Hashem for letting me be here with you guys, especially. I got to know some of you guys over the last week or so. Being here for Hanukkah and continuing this tradition that we didn't have for the last 2,000 years. That being said, we have a minhag. In Tefillah, we add in a special prayer on Hanukkah. In our Shemona Esrei, what tefillah? In the days of Mattatyahu, we know the story. He had sons. They decided they were sick and tired of the Greek persecution. They were going to overthrow this regime that was stopping them from keeping Torah and mitzvot. And we thank Hashem. We say, Masarta giborim biyad chadashim. You let the weak ones overpower the mighty ones. The weak ones, which are the Jews, overpower the great nation of Greece. And a great number of people lost to a small number of people. And sinners fell in the hands of those who keep Torah. And the impure ones fell into the hands of the pure ones. And the evil ones fell to the hands of the righteous ones. And many of the commentaries on the Siddur ask a very obvious question. What do we celebrate on Hanukkah? What miracle are we celebrating? Is that really true? It's one of the miracles we celebrate. What's the main miracle halachically we have to celebrate on Hanukkah? Close. What did we actually do? We say Val Nisim, Val Niflot, Val Milchamot, over the wars. We fought a war. The Jewish people weren't supposed to win. Actually, the Shulchan Aruch says that when you celebrate Hanukkah, you have to have in mind the war. The war is the most important part of this miracle. So the oil is a cute story. It's nice. It was a midrash. Beautiful. We found the oil. It lasted for 8 days. It's part of the miracle. It's how we celebrate it. But the main miracle is that we won a war. If that's true, why in the world are we talking about people, righteous people that won over evil people, that the sinners fell in the hands of those who keep the Torah? Who cares? When I go out into battle, does it make a difference how from I am when I go fight a war? Does the guy over there in Lebanon and Syria, I've never been to either of them, do they actually care? if I'm wearing tzitzit, how long they are, if I have tchelet, ravad, rambam. Does it make a difference to anybody? It doesn't. So the question that they ask is, why do we mention it in the Al-Nisim? Why do we even mention that we have righteous people that won over the evil people, and those who keep the Torah don't keep the Torah? What is it coming to tell us? Who's it talking about? So the Greeks, they lost, big deal. Why all these names? So I heard there are suvganiyot around here, and I like suvganiyot more than the Torah shir. I know Rabbi said that caramel with the Torah goes better, but I personally am a fan of suvganiyot. So I want to answer this question, and the next part of my shir has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. So I want to answer this question, then stop, break for suvganiyot, and continue this thought in the next room. The Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory points out a very interesting idea. He says the concept of a sinner, someone who breaks the Torah, can apply to a Greek. Why not? Why can't a Greek break the Torah? He's not chayav in the Torah. So could you call a Greek a zadim? Can you call it someone who broke the Torah? Can you call a Greek person a tameh, an impure person, if his... The Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach. Okay, but it's not going to make him a tzaddik or a rasha. We're not going to call him a zadim. It's not the opposite of osek b'torah teva. You're right. The commentary. I'm skipping a lot of steps. The commentaries do say your question, and they push off with saying it's not really the opposite of one who learns Torah as one who keeps the Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach. Like it's not the same level of holiness. So Lubavitcher Rebbe says it must be that the war that we're talking about here in the story of Chanukkah is actually not one between Jews and Greeks. It's not one between the Jews and the non-Jews. It was actually an inner battle that was happening in the time of the Jewish people. And if you know, you look in a history book from the time of Chanukkah, you'll find that there was a group of people called the Mityavnim. What do they call them in English? Hellenists, right. People who were leaving Judaism, they were becoming Greek, they were getting part of a culture that wasn't theirs. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that two things happened in this miracle. One was that very simply the Jewish people were able to reunite themselves. The Jewish people, those who were still keeping the Torah, were able to reconnect with their brothers who had seemingly left the Torah. And that was a big miracle in and of itself. You know, I was walking down Mash Shirim Street today. I've got to throw this in there. And I might dress similar to people in that neighborhood. And sometimes I walk in there and I'm like, they have this big sign, or they used to, they don't have it anymore. It said, Ein ma'avar l'tzionim. There's no passageway for Zionists. So that was what it said in the street. So I always wondered, like, if I have to ask someone permission before I walk through, I'm a Zionist, like, can I do it? But I figured I dressed the part, I just go through there anyways. But I was wondering, something hit me when I was there. Instead of every Jew who was living there, living inside of this little Jewish community, if they just walked one block over, out to Rehov Yafo, and they said, do you have a place for Hanukkah? Do you have somewhere to go for Friday night dinner? They grabbed some guy that didn't have a kippah on, didn't look like he was celebrating Shabbat, said, do you have a place for lunch? When's the last time you had chulent? I don't eat chulent. But when's the last time you had chulent? And if they just invited people over to their house, I guarantee you that this country would look like a totally different place. People would just love Torah. They would love being Jewish. Because they see that people who keep Torah mitzvot are special people. But instead they've decided to live in this little community and to not go out. And it's chaval, because the miracle that we're celebrating in Hanukkah is that two seemingly opposite factions of the Jewish people were able to reunite. And that's the reason we make a bracha, Sha'asani sim l'avotenu. It's a miracle when two Jews with two totally different opinions can sit down at the table and decide they're going to celebrate the same holiday together. But more important than that, it's actually a very deep hashkafic question. You know, in the story of Entebbe, when they hijacked the plane and they took it over to Uganda, right? Is that where it was? Yeah. So, at the time, the Israelis went in, we had a whole, anyone watched the movie, read the book, heard the story, if you were alive to actually be there and know what was going on. It was a great military operation. But I think everyone can agree that Yad Hashem, the hand of Hashem, was somehow involved in that story. And there was a famous statement put out by the Satmar Rebbe of blessed memory, right after this miracle, after the story of Entebbe. And he said that it wasn't a miracle, it couldn't be a miracle, because Hashem doesn't do miracles for Jews who are evil people. And he considered those Jews who weren't 100% Shomer Torah mitzvot to be evil people. And he said it can't be that Hashem would do a miracle for them. And the same day, the Lubavitcher Rebbe in New York stood up and said, it's not true. It's not true. What, Hashem, you know who Hashem loves more than the other one? You are in Hashem's mind. You know exactly who Hashem loves, who Hashem doesn't love. He said, We're all part of the same family. And that's what you learn from the story of Chanukkah. That so many of the Jews weren't living a lifestyle that may have been what Hashem wanted them to live. But Hashem made a miracle for us anyways. Hashem was there with us anyways. Masar giborim b'yad chashim. Hashem let us win. Because Hashem loves every single one of us. And Hashem doesn't care who we are and how we are and what we are. As long as we know that we're a part of a greater picture, we're a part of a greater people. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe said it's very important to know that you shouldn't throw out statements like that. You shouldn't pretend to know who Hashem loves more than another one, and who Hashem is going to save and who Hashem isn't going to save. And it's the second miracle of Chanukkah. This is the first time in Jewish history where Hashem showed us that even if we might not be exactly where He wants us, He's always got our back. He's always with us, wherever we are. So I want to pause now for Sufganiyot, and I want to totally change the topic this year after Sufganiyot. But B'ezras Hashem, I think, are there Sufganiyot around?
Yeah.
Yeah? So can we bring them in here or go to the other room and eat Sufganiyot? Yeah, we'll go into the other room and we'll have Sufganiyot. Shkoch.
So having two separate cheers?
No, it's the same idea, but
Let's talk about it on the first half.
Yeah, thank you.